Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Work in Progress. This is a special episode, I guess. I'm your host, Brent Piles, and with me, as always, he is from across the ocean and from the future. He's the barroom brawling, disco dancing, dynamite trenching, intercontinental playboy. Folks, he's so over that he is still the reigning, defending AWI Pod Premium Live Event Prediction Champion. Glenn, how are you doing?
Yay.
You won by default again because me and you
tied. Sorry?
You and I tied, but you won by default because you were already the champion.
Oh, right. Yes, I suppose I got lucky again then.
To the shock of all of us, the mayor's prediction of Chelsea Green and Tiffany Stratton Money in the Bank. It almost happened, but it didn't happen.
I was sitting here going up there and I'm going, no, don't let it happen. No.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, holy shit, this might actually happen.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll talk to him later on about that. How close he came to winning the whole bloody thing.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been the greatest day. That would have been one of the best days in the mayor's history of wrestling fandom if they had become the Money in the Bank champion.
It certainly would have.
Yeah, we're gonna as we're recording this, it's Wednesday, and we'll be talking to the mayor later tonight when we record our usual our usual Wednesday night show. So we'll talk more about Money in the Bank, and we'll talk about the NXT show a little more when we talk with the mayor later. Anything else you want to discuss or get off your chest? England plays in about 49 minutes, so
yep. Let's get on with it then.
That's right. That's what I figured you'd say. So let's do it. This week we've decided, since we're taking a little break from the 97-98 review, I'm sorry, the new 98 review show, which will be coming in a couple of weeks, we decided to do something a little different, and we are going to review the very first StarrCade from November the 24th, 1983, a Flair for the Gold from the Greensboro Coliseum. It's a hard word to say. In Greensboro, North Carolina. If you're a wrestling fan, you probably heard of the Greensboro Coliseum. You've heard of the Greensboro Coliseum, Glenn?
Yes, definitely.
Of course. One of the most famous arenas in the southern region of the United States. It held StarrCade 83, 84, 85, and 86. Also held WWE Unforgiven 1995, King of the Ring 99, Survivor Series 2001, along with many episodes of, WCW Nitro, Thunder, Raw, SmackDown, Ring of Honor, AEW. Raw was just held at this arena in May, so just a couple of months ago, and AEW's Revolution pay-per-view was held at this arena in the same month. So this arena is still getting ran quite frequently when it comes to wrestling. The Greensboro.
That's amazing, because you think of the Sportatorium, which was sort of the other really big one that NWA used at this time. That's just a crumbling wreck now.
I think it's actually torn down. I don't think it's even.
They removed it now.
I think they've torn it. I think they tore it down a few years ago. As a matter of fact, another one that was big was the Omni in Atlanta. I remember them talking about being at the Omni or being at Greensboro. So they immediately went right into a match. We got immediately right into a match. It's the Masked Assassins taking on Rufus R. Jones and Bugsy McGraw. Now, I personally, from watching episodes of World Class Championship Wrestling, I love Bugsy McGraw. He's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, all right. I believe you.
Have you not heard of Bugsy McGraw before?
I had, but not to the extent I thought he was the American version of Les Kelly. No.
Well, maybe. He used to do all kinds of crazy shit when he was in World Class. He would wear weird shit to the ring. I remember one time he threw the Bill Mercer, I think was their play-by-play guy. He threw him down a water slide, and yeah, I just remember. I don't remember a lot of Bugsy McGraw having classic wrestling matches. I just remember crazy Bugsy McGraw. He was a whole ass.
I suppose definition of crazy being that you wave your legs around a lot.
Yeah, he was very a very big fan of waving the legs around. Yes. Yeah. I'd never seen Rufus R. Jones wrestle until today. Are you familiar with? I've heard of him obviously, but I've never seen him wrestle before.
No, not at all.
Not heard of him at all. And the Masked Assassin.
The Masked Assassins I've heard of.
Assassin number 1 was Jody Hamilton, who was the father of longtime referee Nick Patrick. And then assassin number 2 was Ray Fernandez, who you would known if you watched the WF in the early 80s, late 90s. Yep. I mean, early 90s, late 80s. Hercules, Ray Fernandez.
Yeah.
Which I always thought was funny. They call him Hercules Hernandez. Why didn't they just call him Hercules Fernandez?
Hercules.
Yeah. Starts with an H, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. This match was what it was. It wasn't a whole lot to
it. So at halfway point of this, I was cursing you because we've watched some British wrestling from this same sort of period, and you've been full of praising comments for it. And I was thinking, what shit has he got me watching here?
In fairness to you, Glenn, in fairness to me, Glenn, this is my first time ever watching this shit too. So I wasn't coming into this expecting to see what I saw. Rufus R. Jones was really over with the crowd. That's one thing that I took away from this. I mean, they were really popping for every single thing that Rufus did. It was a glorified squash match, but then the jobber team won, which was the weirdest thing.
That was the biggest insult of the lot. Was that finish where they did twin magic?
They did do that
right in front of the referee. They didn't even hide it, and the referee just ignored it.
Like he couldn't tell the difference between the body types of Jody Hamilton and Ray Fernandez. Yeah, they basically do like a blind tag. One of the Masked Assassin gets in the ring. He rolls Bugsy McGraw up, and they win. And that's how the history of StarrCade begins. Is with the Masked Assassins rolling up Bugsy McGraw for the win. The very first match of StarrCade. And I was shocked by this start. I did not expect this to be the first match.
I was wondering what it was actually doing on a pay-per-view.
Yeah, it was really weird. I mean, we'll talk about it, but for the better part of this entire show had me puzzled and scratching my head, to be honest with you, until we got to the final 3 matches. And then they did a lot where we talked to commentary team. We see a very young Tony Schiavone who looked maybe 14.
He looked about 12.
Way too young to be in the locker room area. You know?
Yeah. He even had on one of those back-to-school suits that was about 2 sizes too big for him.
Yeah, he really did. He looked very young. But they're going to keep doing this where we'll talk to, I think it's Gordon Soleil, and I cannot for the life of me remember the guy.
A sec. Got it here somewhere.
I had it too, but I deleted it. No, I can't.
Bob Caudle.
Bob Caudle, that's what it is. Thank you. Yes. Bob Caudle and Gordon Soleil. I love Gordon Soleil. It's the way he talks and sounds like he smoked 17 packs of cigarettes today. I love it.
He sounded a bit doddery at the beginning. It was like listening to me.
I you know what, Glenn? I get what you're saying there. I get what you're saying. But yeah, we'll get a lot of throwing it back to those guys. We then get another very strange tag team match. It's Johnny Weaver and Scott McGee, 2 men I've never heard of in my entire life.
Never ever. I've only ever heard of one of the men in this match.
Then we had they took on Kevin Sullivan and Mark Lewin, and they've got Gary Hart with them as their manager. I am familiar with Kevin Sullivan and Mark Lewin. Mark Lewin was like Purple Haze, I think. He was like one of
right. That was him, was it?
Yeah, he was one of like Kevin Sullivan's demon crew or whatever he had when he was in Florida. But I never heard of Johnny Weaver. I have no fucking idea who Scott McGee is.
No.
Apparently Scott McGee, Glenn, was born in Shipley, West Yorkshire. So he's from your neck of the woods, Glenn.
Oh, right.
But he lived in America when he moved to America when he was very young. So he's American.
I was gonna say he definitely wasn't schooled in the British art of catch-can wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, this was like your classic heel tag team versus some enhancement guys in the 90s. Yeah. This was your standard that match.
Yep, that was that match. We've watched plenty of them.
On the Mayor of Superstars, where we watch episodes of Saturday Morning Superstars, not the biggest show of the fucking year.
No, that's exactly it.
And I get you have to put this in context because it is like 1983 and they'd never done like a pay-per-view or a closed circuit to this. So I guess they were just doing what they would normally do at a big house show, and that's probably what they did. You start off with some slower matches to kind of get the crowd into it, and it was just very strange to see presented in a pay-per-view fashion. You know what I mean?
Again, and it was another dodgy finish.
Yeah, Gary Hart had helped Lewin and Sullivan get the win. After the match, McGee drop kicks Gary Hart, who then pulled something out of his boot, and then Mark Lewin started hitting both the guys with it, busted them both wide open. They're bleeding all over the place.
Yeah.
Then some big guy runs down to the ring from the back. Apparently, it's Angelo Mosca. You ever heard of Angelo Mosca?
No, I hadn't until I wrote this note down that it was Angelo Mosca.
Yeah, samesies, Glenn. I have no fucking idea Amazon who that guy is. They hit him too with whatever he's got. He's bleeding out of his arm. The ending of the match and the post-match stuff was more exciting than the match itself, for sure.
It was. It could have been a 3-minute match.
I wish it would have been.
But they could have got all that in 3 minutes, and it would have been a decent little filler match.
Yeah, it would have been that would have been a better way to start the show.
Yeah.
The other match. We then see one Barbara Clay, who is talking to some rednecks who say they drove 180 miles so they could watch Ric Flair beat Harley Race in the main event tonight.
Yeah, that's right. I thought that was Cleary. Barbara Cleary.
Maybe it was Barbara Cleary. I don't know. I tried to look her up to see if there was anything else about her, but I didn't find anything. So
no.
Maybe it's because I looked up Barbara Clay. It's Barbara Cleary. Maybe that's why I didn't find anything.
Yeah. I just had to note that these hicks look like they had their trailer parked out the back.
They drove their trailer here. They didn't say it.
Yeah.
Right? Just assume they drove the entire trailer there. They were like, we ain't got to get a hotel. We can just go sleep in the parking lot.
Yep. That's exactly what they done.
That's what they did. We see young Tony Schiavone once again. He's in the heel locker room this time with Harley Race. Harley says he'd rather be anywhere than in Greensboro, North Carolina tonight. He says that he's been getting insight from friends and people who know how to hurt Ric Flair, and he knows just the spots to hurt Ric Flair. So,
that's good.
Yeah, I guess.
That's good for him.
And then we get our first one-on-one match of the evening. It is Abdullah the Butcher taking on Carlos Colon. Now, Glenn, the most ridiculous thing that I felt that came from this is that they tried to tell me that this match was too violent to be taking place in Puerto Rico, so they had to do it in the United States. Bullshit.
Yeah, well, it's Abby.
Ask fucking Bruiser Brody how fucking dangerous it is in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think any match banned there should be allowed in the United States either. Which, not to be lost, Puerto Rico's a part of the United States, but whatever.
Yeah.
So it didn't take Abby long before he got his fork out. Glenn, what do you think the odds are that both these guys got hepatitis in the year 2024? What do you think?
I would say it's a very good chance.
They have hepatitis A through Z.
Yeah.
100%. You got any notes from this melee, I guess you could call it?
Not really. Just a lot of stabbing went on and a lot of blood.
It was when I read that there was a Carlos Colon Abdullah the Butcher match on the card, it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. I mean, they were stabbing each other with forks. They were biting. It was pretty much a hardcore match before I think people even used that term. Carlos went for a pin, but Abby kicked out. But when he threw Carlos off him, he landed on the ref. Then Abby went for a massive elbow on Carlos, but he missed and hit the referee. So the referee, it's not a good day to be a ref in this match. Finally, Carlos locks Abdullah the Butcher in a figure four, but then Hugo Savinovich, Glenn, you remember Hugo Savinovich from the Spanish team?
I do, yes.
Apparently, he used to be a wrestler and a manager. He hits the ring and hits Carlos in the head with something. The referee finally comes to after this, counts the 3 count, and Abdullah the Butcher is the winner in another match that I wish I could have back because it wasn't very good.
Yeah. Again, nothing in this one.
We then heard from a very angry, fired up Angelo Mosca. He was pissed, wasn't he, Glenn?
He certainly was.
He's going to be, I guess, reffing the World Tag Team title match later, and he's got a very bloody arm. So, tough man, that Angelo Mosca. He can ref even with a bloody arm.
He might only have one arm, but he's determined he's going to be a special referee for tonight. Get his revenge on Mark Lewin later.
Apparently, he was a big-time Canadian football player, Angelo Mosca.
Oh, was he? All right.
Yeah, he's even known for something that's called the hold on, I'm going to look it up because it's like a big thing. He like tackled somebody on the sidelines in a Grey Cup and like their other team's star running back, and it knocked him out of the game, and so they started calling him, referring him to as like King Kong Mosca or some shit like that. But yeah, he was like a huge. He went to Notre Dame too. He played football at Notre Dame here in the States, which I think you've heard of Notre Dame, right?
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah, which is a big deal. Yeah, it was a huge Canadian football star. Yeah. King Kong Angelo Mosca.
I don't have many Spanish-speaking Canadians.
I'm pretty sure he was from the States, and then after he went to Notre Dame, he probably didn't make it in the NFL or couldn't get on in the NFL, and so he went up to Canada because that's what the guys do. I believe that's what The Rock did. I think The Rock, once he left Miami, he
did
play in the CFL. Yeah, or as they'll tell you on Crime Sports, if you're a fuck up in the States, the CFL will take you.
Yeah, because that's how he got into wrestling, was through the Heart Dungeon.
Yeah. So yeah, there's your interesting news about Angelo Mosca. I thought the funny thing too is while Mosca's talking, Scott McGee's behind him, who looks very much in need of medical attention.
Yeah,
they need to get him to a hospital immediately, but he's just sitting there bleeding to death.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we talked to more rednecks who believe Ric Flair is going to win the main event. Things got a little bit better here because we actually saw 4 wrestlers that I've heard of. Wahoo McDaniel teams with Mark Youngblood to take on not yet Cowboy Bob Orton, and my dick's not dirty yet, Dick Slater.
He's still too young to be dirty, Dick.
He's not quite old enough to have that dick be so dirty just yet. They try to introduce Dusty to the crowd, but the sound wasn't working. And when they finally do introduce Dusty, we don't actually see him. So
no.
Dusty Rhodes is on this fucking show more than anybody who wrestled on it.
Of course he is. He's the booker.
Jesus Christ, you'd have thought he had a match. He doesn't.
No.
He probably wrestled all the ladies in the crowd, though, from what I saw. Never really watched Wahoo wrestle before, so this was a bit of a treat for me. I know Wahoo was in his later years here, but were you a big into Wahoo McDaniel, or that didn't really translate to your side of the pond?
No, we had our own faux Native Americans over here.
I believe Wahoo was an actual real Native American.
Yeah, but that's probably why he didn't come over.
Probably, yeah.
Because we had plenty of faux ones over here.
Yeah, but I thought this was a little bit better of a match. It was.
Oh, it was. Yeah, no, there was nothing wrong with this match at all. We're actually into it now, and I don't know whether that is because I knew them all. I was more invested in it.
I gotta say that probably had a lot to do with it. And this wasn't an enhancement match. It was a back and forth match. It's not like one team dominated and the other team just got their ass kicked. And so it was more of a flowing tag team match than what we had looked at so far. I thought it was interesting at the beginning when Youngblood Slater's trying to put him like a figure 4 and he kicks Slater over the top rope, and they wanted him disqualified because he was kicking the top rope.
Yeah. And the commentary team said that it was accidental.
Yeah.
He didn't mean it.
Because in those days you would be disqualified if you were thrown over the top rope. So
deliberately, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot better of a match. You got any notes from this one?
There was some good wrestling. Youngblood done a very good backbreaker at one point. I've got a note on here. It was some very good tag team wrestling.
Definitely. It was very good 80s based tag team wrestling. You had one heel team, one babyface team. The heel team cuts off the ring. They do quick in and out tags. The babyface team builds to the hot tag, which is finally Youngblood gets to Wahoo, comes in, starts cleaning house. He's landing chops. He hits a couple of inverted atomic drops. But it doesn't take long before Slater and Orton take back control of the match. But Slater missed a top rope elbow. And he hit Orton instead, which allowed Wahoo to tag Youngblood back in, and they end up taking out Wahoo with a knee to the back, sending him crashing out to the floor. And they set
the crowd loved Wahoo McDaniel's chops.
Oh yeah, they were big pops for the chops, every one of them. Yeah. They set up a Youngblood for a superplex, and they do hit the superplex, and Wahoo's not able to make the save in time, and Orton gets the pin. So Orton and Slater win. After the match, they do a thing where they have he holds Wahoo's arm outside the ring, and then it was funny because it looked like Dick Slater was going to come off the top rope, and then Dick was like, "No, I can't do this," and then got the top rope and did it from the apron, and Bob Orton was like, "God damn it, I'll do it," and then Orton got up there and did it. Which I thought was really funny because I felt like he got up there and was like, "It's too high. I'm not doing this." Yeah, so a better of a match there. Orton and Slater get the win. We see more Tony Schiavone in the back again, and every time they go to the back, Gordon Soley calls him Tony something else. It's never Tony Schiavone though. He calls him Tony Smith.
Yeah.
No, he never gets it right.
No.
Which was really funny. They do an interview with Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, and Jay Youngblood talking about their matches tonight. It was proof that maybe Jay Youngblood shouldn't do promos because he was awful.
He was terrible.
And Ricky Steamboat tried to save it, and he didn't do very good either.
No.
Should have kept the mic on Rick during that one, I think. Maybe. They didn't talk to Dusty Rhodes, but again, the sound isn't working. And as I'm watching this, Rachel's sitting on the couch with me, and she's like, why wouldn't they just cut this out of the show? Like, why did they even leave this on here for people to watch 30, 40 years later? I was like, you know what? Why wouldn't they just edit it out?
Because it's Dusty Rhodes.
I know, but like WWE got control of that footage when they put it on the network. Why wouldn't they just go, cut this out?
Yeah.
Maybe
they can't cut Dusty out.
I guess you're right. And then we get our first title match of the evening. It is Do Not Call Me the Boogie Woogie Man, Johnny Valiant, Charlie Brown versus the Great Kabuki, who's also got Gary Hart with him. It's a title versus mask match for the NWA TV title. But the most interesting thing was they told us this had a 60-minute time limit, but the TV title mask stipulation was only for the first 15 minutes of the match.
Yeah. My main note here is that I feel like I'd seen Charlie Brown somewhere, but I wasn't quite sure on where I got.
Yeah, they interviewed a couple of girls in the crowd. I think one of them said her favorite wrestler was Charlie Brown, and I'm thinking, who the fuck is Charlie Brown?
Yeah,
I thought we were talking about Snoopy and Charlie Brown.
Yeah, that's right.
But no, I don't know what happened that turned the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant, into Charlie Brown, but he's here now and he's Charlie Brown. I don't know if this is like I don't know if this is a Mr. America Hulk Hogan situation where we think it's Jimmy Valiant, but it's not.
That's because he was from out of town.
Yeah, that could be. Could very well
Charlie Brown from out of town.
They did keep saying that. Charlie Brown from out of town. Yeah. You think downtown Julie Brown stole some of her gimmick from Charlie Brown?
Possibly, yeah.
Do you know I'm talking about when I talk about downtown Julie Brown?
No.
Oh, she was like an MTV person in the 80s. I'm pretty sure she was like British or something.
Probably. Sounds like it.
She sounded British. Her name was downtown Julie Brown. So yeah, two very interesting looking individuals. My favorite, when it first comes to like the long shot, I'm seeing like a weird guy with a weird mask and like weird pajamas with a big beard, and then another guy with like some sort of red hair. I'm like, oh God, Glenn, this is gonna be right up my alley. And then I realized it was the Great Kabuki, and he was gonna take all that shit off.
Yeah.
This was a nice little brawl, though. I like this match.
It was. Yeah. I love that the Great Kabuki spent his whole time trying to unmask Charlie Brown.
Yeah. Yeah, he was trying to pull that thing right off.
Yeah.
A lot of sleeper holds in this, though. I mean, Kabuki locked in the sleeper hold, put it right off for a while. A bit of a slower paced match. Kabuki was using a claw, and Charlie Brown was using a sleeper hold for much of the match. But still, I thought it was pretty goddamn entertaining for what it was. Charlie Brown selling, it popped me through the roof every time he would sell because it was just so, it was so over the top, but it was just so good.
It was the one. This is one of the first times I've seen Kabuki not actually spit the mist, but actually spit it into his hands and rub it on his opponent when he was in a sleeper.
Yeah. No, that's definitely something different. I remember the Great Muta doing that a little bit, but definitely interesting thing from Kabuki there. So the match picks up when Brown starts hitting the series of moves and gets the win after Kabuki misses a drop kick in the corner, and then Charlie Brown hits the elbow for the 3 count and the win, and it happened within the 15 minutes, Glenn. So he is the new NWA TV champion.
Yeah, it was a pin at 10 minutes 23 to win the title and keep his mask on.
And he gets to keep his mask. I think even after the match, he dedicated his win to the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant. I think he did.
Makes sense.
We see Tony Schiavone again in the heel locker room. He's got Harley Race, Bob Orton, and Dick Slater with him. I guess Harley had paid these two guys $25,000 to take out Ric Flair, and they did take him out and put him out for a while. Orton talks about how if it wasn't for Wahoo, they would have taken out Rick for good, and that Rick will still get his match tonight, but Bob doesn't think he has much of a chance because of all the knowledge that Harley has on Rick.
Why didn't we get this promo at the beginning, and then the Wahoo McDaniels match?
Yeah,
to make sense at the start.
Yeah, it would have tied it all together. Definitely,
it would have done.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Harley then talks about how he's coming for the neck of Ric Flair. That's his whole game plan. We then finally do hear from Dusty Rhodes, where we can actually hear him. Yeah. He will be challenging the winner of the NWA World Title match tonight.
Well, there's a surprise.
Yeah, shocker of the year, right?
You would not have thought that was what he was going to say.
No, I mean you could have gave me one guess and I would have got it. He then puts over both guys that are going to be in the championship match, but he does say that he thinks Harley Race is going to win, and I think he's the only person that's going to say that.
Yes.
And then we're going to go into what was probably my favorite match of the night, and a match that I have seen multiple times, and that is Roddy Piper versus Greg Valentine in a dog collar match. Gordon Soley keeps saying the U.S. title is on the line during this match, but it is not.
It is no.
It is not, in fact, on the line. But wow, how great was this?
It was really good. I was glad this was on it because I'd seen this just in isolation before.
Right.
I think Jeremy got me to watch it, and yeah, really enjoyed it.
That sounds right up Jeremy's alley. I remember a few years ago, WWE put out. This is before the network, so you would buy DVDs so you could watch old wrestling matches. I have a box full of WWE DVDs in the other room, and they had a Best of StarrCade DVD 3-disc set, and they had this match on it. And man, yeah, I mean, I've watched this one multiple times, and every time I watch it, I see something. It's like that Bret Hart, Steve Austin match from WrestleMania 13. Where every time you go back and watch it, you see something in it that you didn't see the first time you watched it. And if you've never seen this match, you need to go back and look at it. It was really well done. It symbolizes everything that a chain match should be. My favorite thing about it was if you did a chain match now, guys would be doing high spots and fucking going through tables and using chairs.
Yeah.
You don't need to fucking do all that. It's a goddamn chain match. Beat the guy with the chain, and that's what they did. And that's why I loved it.
That was what Roddy Piper actually wrapped the chain round his fist and was hitting Valentine with it. That's what you need to be using the chain for.
Right. Or like even at the beginning when they're kind of doing the tug of war thing back and forth, and Valentine just gets close enough, and Piper whips him really quick with the chain. Just and Valentine's like, "Oh God," throws him back. Just the psychology in this, I thought it was fucking phenomenal.
It was.
I could watch this 10 more times and be absolutely fine. You got any notes from this one that you wanted to touch on?
There again, with Piper's got the chain round his fist. He beats Valentine into the corner, and then he uses the chain to, how to put it politely, knacker him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good use of the chain again.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that Piper was firing up like a madman. He was like laying it in with the chain on Valentine, and then Valentine would come firing right back at him and start hitting him in the head with the chain. And
I didn't realize that Piper was selling an old ear injury.
Yeah, I didn't think they did. They kind of talked about it on commentary, but I didn't think they put it over enough.
No, they didn't.
He had already heard his.
Yeah, because Valentine had done the homework to know that was the area that he was going to target, but nobody put it over enough for it to make sense that he was hitting the side of his head.
Well, Gordon Soley's probably had like 10 whiskey and cokes by now. He can't even say Tony Schiavone. So
he was still selling that this was a championship match.
Oh, yeah, the whole time. The whole time he thought this was a championship match. It was not. Yeah, really knockdown, drag out. The finish comes when Valentine tries to come off the middle rope onto Piper, but Piper grabs the chain and pulls it, then sends Valentine crashing to the mat. Piper then lays a bunch of punches to Valentine's forehead, wraps the chain like around his legs, wraps his legs up in the chain, then pins him, which was another nice touch and a great way to use the chain.
Yeah.
After the match, Valentine goes after Piper. He starts, wraps a chain around his neck. He's choking Piper.
Piper says,
we finally get it. We finally get it confirmed that this was not for the U.S. title. Finally.
Piper says, fuck that. I'm off to the WWF.
Yeah, I don't think Piper was around in JCP for much longer. Finally get the chain off Piper's neck, get Valentine off him. We see a great shot in the ring of Piper. The fans are going nuts, and Piper's just swinging the chain around his head, and that's just an iconic shot.
It is.
What a great match. We then, of course, Tony Schiavone is talking to Ric Flair this time, who's got Wahoo with him. His arm's all wrapped up. After what Slater and Orton did to him, he talks about the match with the Harley Race tonight. Wahoo talks about how Rick is ready for the match. He says he bet all of his money on Ric Flair. We then hear from Don Cornudo, which is one of my favorite names in the history of wrestling.
It is a superb name. I love him.
I know nothing about him, only his name, but
he's just going around shaking everybody's hand.
Yeah, he was a big time handshaker. Yeah, he thinks Ric Flair is going to win tonight. So if you're keeping track at home, the only person who thinks that Harley is going to win is Dusty Rhodes, and he's the booker. So I'm just kidding. He is the booker. I'm not kidding about that. But the next one is a NWA World Tag Team Championship match. We got the Brisco Brothers, Jack and Gerald, taking on Ricky Steamboat and Jay Youngblood. Angelo Mosca is the special guest referee in this match.
I tell you what, whatever it was that Gerald Brisco had taken before this match, I want some. He was like a bag of beans before this match started. He was on the top rope. He was bouncing around on the apron. He was winding the crowd up.
Yeah, no, Jerry was great in this. I've never really watched the Briscoes at all. Like I never watched them like single. The only Briscoe I've seen is Gerald Brisco getting beat up by Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, that's about the same as me.
Yeah, so this was also a fun match to watch. I mean, you get a young Steamboat and the Youngblood against the veteran tag team of Brisco and of the Briscoes. I wanted to say of Brisco and Brisco because they're the Brisco brothers.
Yeah.
the Briscoes were trying to like outsmart the younger Steamboat at the beginning of the match, but like Steamboat kept getting the better of them every time, and they just kept getting more frustrated, which I thought was fun. And then you could kind of tell that maybe Angelo Mosca was going to have something to do with the finish of the match because him and the Briscoes were having a lot of words with each other during this match.
Yeah, it's good to see a young Ricky Steamboat and the better of the Youngbloods.
Yeah, I know more of this Youngblood than the younger Youngblood.
Yeah.
And Jay was a great worker. I can't say much for Mark's promo skills, that's for sure.
No, but
that was Jay that did the promo that we didn't like. It wasn't Mark.
No, it was, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. But the Briscoes do eventually take control. With Steamboat in the ring, they start, classic heel babyface stuff. They cut off the ring, hot tag, quick tags in and out. The crowd was really into this match. They were really behind, of course, the ultimate babyface, Mr. Dick Blood himself. What about you? You got any notes from this one, Glenn?
Jack did at one point towards the end, did an absolutely really, really good suplex on Youngblood, which I think surprised him more than anything because Ricky had just tagged him in, who walked straight into a suplex that launched him across the ring.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, Gerald got Ricky in like a key hold, but Ricky is able to break out a key lock hold. He just picks him up with one arm, slams him down, as a man who has all the dick blood pumping through him could do. He's able to tag in Youngblood, but Jack quickly cuts him off, which that was just the spot that Glenn was just talking about with the quick reverse suplex.
Yeah.
And after a close 2 count, Gerald actually pushes the referee, who then pushes the referee down, which leads to Youngblood being able to tag in Steamboat. Steamboat hits some high impact tag team moves, and then Ricky picks up Jay and gorilla presses him, drops him across Gerald for the 3 count and the win. After the match, the Briscoes attack Youngblood and the referee, and then they are able to lock Ricky in a figure 4, and then they try to come off the top rope on him at the same time. But Mosca catches Jack in midair, and Ricky and Jay are able to fight them off, and they celebrate in the ring as the new NWA World Tag Team Champions.
Yes.
2 handsome sons of bitches, that's for sure. And then we get in, it goes down to the main event of the evening. Well, they did a whole bunch of promo shit. They did like 20 minutes of nonsense before the match even started.
Yeah, I didn't listen to a lot of that because I was just interested in getting into the match.
Yeah, I fast forwarded to the match as well because I didn't want to, I didn't want to watch 20 minutes of. I thought the entrance for Ric Flair was cool for what it was, an 80s entrance or whatever, and then they did like the national anthem before the main event, which I thought was a strange place to do it. Usually you do it at the beginning of the show. Is that a custom over in England, Glenn? Do you play the national anthem for any sporting event?
Yeah, if it's a championship, definitely.
But like, if I go and watch Arsenal play Nottingham Forest, they're not going to play the English national anthem. If I go to any fucking sporting event here, they're playing the national anthem before the game starts. It doesn't matter. I could go to a fucking t-ball game. I could go to an 8-year-old's t-ball game.
You get Arsenal's own anthem,
right?
Clubs have their own anthems.
Okay.
If it's a national thing or like the FA Cup final, then you'd get the national anthem as well.
Right. I think Dan said this when he visited America. He said, I don't understand why they play the national anthem for every opening of a horse legs. And he's absolutely right.
No. Yeah, he is.
So Gene Kaninsky is the special guest referee for this match. What did you think about this classic cage match? It was strange to me because it was like a cage match, but they wanted them to work within the rules of wrestling. At least Kaninsky did.
I can't understand in a match of this magnitude why they had somebody refereeing that didn't have a clue what he was doing.
I think it was like their MO because I think at the next one too, I think Joe Lewis. I know not Joe Frazier might be the referee for the Ric Flair Dusty Rhodes match. And like, why would you do that? I could see as like an outside of enforcer, but they didn't make Mike Tyson the fucking referee of the Stone Cold Steve Austin Shawn Michaels match because that would be stupid.
That's right.
And I realize Gene Kiniski's an old wrestler, but nobody fucking smartened him up before he went out there. Like, what is he? Well, he kept like slapping people's hands. And it was just bizarre. It took away any flow that the match had.
Yeah. I love that Ric Flair started on Harley Race, a man with one of the thickest necks in wrestling at this time, and tried to put him in a headlock.
Probably not the way to go, no.
No, it wasn't.
I will say I like the pace of this match. Anybody, if you listen to this show enough, you'll know that I like matches that start off slow and build. And that this one did, but I thought it could have been better built, and it would have been worked better if we just had Tommy Young as the referee. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right. It's strange at the beginning because there was lots of headlocks and chin locks and not things you would normally see in a cage match.
Yeah, and then when someone would run someone's head into the cage, it was like he would admonish them, and I'm like, it's a cage match. That's the point, you dumbass. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
Kiniski's acting like it's the fucking 60s in Vancouver. I don't know what he was doing.
No.
And it was, and all looking at all the dried blood on the ring canvas just made me want to go take a shower.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. They could have changed the canvas, couldn't they?
I guess they just didn't. They probably just didn't do that in the 80s.
They probably didn't have a spare.
No, that was the only one that said NWA on it, so I had to keep it there. Eventually, Flair sends Harley crashing into the ring post, and then he starts to take control. Both men are bleeding buckets in this. Flair hits a pile driver, but only gets a 2 count. Gene Kiniski appears in my notes way more than he should. He kept just getting in both guys' faces, and anytime the match started, I actually feel like it was going somewhere. He would like just shut that fucking thing down. He was like a fucking joy sucker out of it. So Flair locks in a figure 4 in the middle of the ring, but Harley is able to roll out of it, but then they get into the rope, so they have to break it. I love the way Harley Race throws a headbutt, because nowadays when a guy throws headbutts, they like rear their head back, and you wouldn't do that if you were going to throw a headbutt. You would go like that, you know, and that's how Harley does it. He throws it like you would actually throw a headbutt. You wouldn't cock your head back and do that to someone because that would be stupid.
That is a particular type of headbutt. It's called the Glasgow Kiss.
Yeah.
And where you throw your head back. And, and now everybody uses it as the norm rather than just letting Drew McIntyre use it, and that's it.
Yeah, I think headbutts, especially nowadays, should be few and far between. They didn't know what they had with concussions back in those days.
No,
I'm not a fan of any headbutts. I mean, like, there's maybe a couple guys. You said Drew, but I love the way Harley threw it.
Let's face it, Harley splits Flair open the hard way on the cage at one point.
Yeah. I mean, I think even probably in 83, you could probably touch Ric Flair in a spot and it would make him bleed.
Oh, yeah, probably. But he definitely didn't have a chance to blade or anything. It was definitely done by the cage.
You can tell, too, because Harley's face was bleeding, and then eventually there wasn't a whole lot of blood. Flair's face kept gushing buckets the entire match.
Yeah, he'd hit a vein.
Yeah. We get a ref bump. Well, I think Harley caught him with a head. Yeah, thank God. And then while the ref is down, Ric Flair climbs to the top rope, and then he like jumps down onto Harley, who spills over the referee. And then Flair ends up getting on top of him, and they count the 3 count. And now Ric Flair is the winner and the NWA World Champion. The ring fills up with people after the match come in, congratulate Rick. They have 20 minutes of pre pay-per-view coverage, but I did not watch any of that because
I
didn't need to hear 3 Ric Flair congratulations.
Flaw with this match was the refereeing, and you couldn't blame either of the wrestlers for that. Apart from that, it was a good match.
Yeah, it was a solid match. I would say, I think you're obviously going to agree with me here, but the match of the night was the dog collar match.
Oh yes,
by far.
Yeah.
And then I would put Rick and Harley third on my list, and I would put the Steamboat, Youngblood, Brisco's tag team matches second. But all in all, we usually do the thumbs up rating system here, and I would give this 2 thumbs up because of the last 3 matches. I mean, there were the first part of the card wasn't great, but the last few made up for it. So I would definitely give this show 2 thumbs up, and go back and check it out if you haven't watched it before. It's definitely worth a watch, just for the wrestling history. You know what I mean?
That's right.
But yeah, that is it. That is our review for StarrCade 1983. Glenn, who do you want to plug before we get out of here? England kicks off very soon.
The guys that unbooking the territory, doing the first and last of wrestling, their little side projects, unstacking the territory, which is out this week. A special, which is Kendo Nagasaki without the mask. Against I can't remember either.
Oh, Dan and Matt Lewis are going live here in about 4 minutes, or live right now for the England game too. So
I'm sure Dan will tell us when he's listened to this. And I'm booking the Tankatori, the Life and Times of Tank Abbott. They're finished with that now, but you can still get Tank Facts on the Tank Abbott. I'm booking the Tankatori X page. That's it.
There you go.
And of course,
the Doctor Who podcast with Danny Inside. That's on SJP World Media.
And DDT Wrestling with DC and Doc. They're on a little hiatus at the moment because of vacations, but they'll be back soon.
It's summer break for those fellas. Yep. All right, let's get it out here quick. Make sure you follow the other member of our podcast team, the Mayor of Canton. He only Twitter gimmick. I don't think he's doing a meal with the mayor right now, but he may be back soon. So give him a follow on the old next to him.
He said he was going to record one tonight.
There you go. He's going to have one out. Today will be Thursday when you hear this, but there'll be one out right now. So check that out at Mayor of Canton. And make sure you check out our buddy, our friend, Thomas Bryce and sportswireradio.org. That is the website. Hit that listen live button. You hear many great shows just like ours. And, of course, you can check out the Life and Times of Psycho Sid. We'll have two new episodes this Friday. Check it out. That's it. That's all. Me and Glenn got some football to watch, so Glenn's going to tell you goodbye.
Goodbye. Yeah.